Welcome to A Healthier, Happier You, the people working to make it happen. I'm Evan J. Cholfin from Luxhammer, where we help the brands that help you live healthier. Today I'm joined by Shelly Huang, VP of Marketing and Creative at BOXIECAT, who's revolutionizing the pet care industry with innovative subscription-based solutions. Shelly, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Evan.
So what's the story behind BOXIECAT?
The story is really interesting and really cute, actually. Our founder, Josh, had a cat named Goldie. He says Goldie was not good at litter, and neither was Josh. So both of them hated litter, and every time Josh would pour the litter into the litter box, he would literally pour and run away because he was so afraid of the dust. He just thought it was really gross. And so together, him and Goldie tried probably like 50 different kinds of litter, and neither of them liked any of it. So he said, I'm going to create some litter. He embarked on his path to create a litter that had really good ingredients. Along the way, he found out that a lot of the litters on the market have a lot of additives, a lot of preservatives, a lot of perfumes that weren't actually good for the cat's health. And he also thought that the packaging on shelf was very busy and it's like your eyes almost don't know where to go. So he wanted to create packaging that made people feel more relaxed. And so Boxy was born really with the ethos of creating a better for you cat litter that has the cat's health in mind, the human's quality of living in mind for a cleaner, healthier home, and really kind of like the idea of like not being stressed out by litter because he was so stressed out by litter. What's interesting is that when it comes to tracking, your cat is not just tracking the actual litter, actual clay or the granules around. They're also tracking the germs and the bacteria that's inside the litter box around your home. And if you let your cat on your counters or on your bed or on your pillow, and you really think about it, it's like cat's tracking all of this stuff around your house. And I think that was another important insight that made Josh feel like, hey, we need to innovate around this. And so one of our litters, actually many of our litters contain a probiotic technology, which the probiotics, its job is to eat away at the ammonia causing odor bacteria and clean your cat's paws and clean the litter itself. So it's a self-cleaning litter. So when your cat gets out of the litter box, all the gross stuff doesn't get tracked around the house, which I think is a really important attribute for a lot of people who are germaphobe. So that is a huge selling point.
Yeah, that would be for me too. I just found my cat the other day sitting directly on my pillow. So, yeah, absolutely. So, what makes your subscription model unique in the pet care space?
So from a subscription perspective, what we found is that the litter category is a high retention category, but also a high switching category. Basically, you have no brand loyalty until you find the one that really works for you, and then you become a diehard fan. And so sometimes we'll see a lot of people who have talked to us about, I've tried 15 different kinds of litters, or even people who have said, oh yeah, I've tried Boxy before, but for whatever reason, I switched to a different kind because I thought it was a little bit too expensive. I went to a cheaper kind. It came back to Boxy. Or people who will say, I literally tried 15 different kinds of litters before I found Boxy. So from a subscription standpoint, it's quite unique because people will subscribe, but they don't have a lot of loyalty. It's a little bit like buying toilet paper. Like it's something you always need and you need a lot of it, but it's not like a sexy product that you think of. It's not like serum that you feel like very sensorial putting on your face and making you feel younger and more youthful, right? It's a very like functional product. And so people are not hesitant to switch away from you or to chase the deals. So for us, from a subscription standpoint, you need to come up with offers that are attractive. And so for us, offers like get X% off your first 3 months is something that has worked well for us because first month people might say, okay, this is a really steep discount, I'm going to try it. And then they keep on chasing the other deals or they chase other platforms. I'm going to buy it on Chewy. I'm going to buy it on Amazon. But for the first 3 months, if that's a value that they can continue to receive, they start to find that the consistency of using Boxy and they start to see the experience, they get in their groove and they're like, "Hey, now I know how much I need to pour in every week, and now I know how does my cat use the litter box and how much more I need, and am I on a monthly or like 6-week rotation period?" You start to like get into that rhythm. And for that the first 3 months or like first 3 bags, it really makes a big difference for us. And we've seen a huge retention curve increase for those who have come through the first 3 bags offer versus a one-time steep discount.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what marketing channels have been performing best for you recently?
For us, it's a little twofold from a conversion and a brand perspective. So we do a lot of our sales on D2C, yes, but also with our retail partners. So from a retail partner standpoint, we run a lot of on-site programs, so sponsored products programs with our retail partners, so that we are top of search, so that if people are searching best cat litter, clay cat litter, that we are top of mind and always appearing, because a lot of times like the just the availability of like when they search you being top of list, that really drives a lot of conversion. But on top of it, you do need to complement with a lot of brand awareness, because the first time people see you is rarely the first time they're going to buy you. So there needs to be education and really more of kind of who are you and why are you different and why should I buy you and why are you worth buying kind of story and education happening there. So we complement it with a lot of more brand and consideration work. For us, honestly, the best performing platforms have still been Meta, TikTok. We also see a lot of organic traction on Reddit, and a lot of our consumers tell us that they have come into Boxy or discovered Boxy from the Reddit threads. So that is definitely an emerging channel. But from a performance standpoint, I would say Meta is one of our top channels, both from a brand awareness standpoint, because we have campaigns that are really purely for kind of like educating people about who Boxy is and why we're different. But we also have a lot of campaigns in partnership with some of our retail partners that drive direct conversion for our retail partners. And the Meta campaigns really complement the on-site campaigns really well.
Yeah, definitely. What's been your biggest challenge in scaling the subscription business?
I would say the biggest challenge for us at this moment is really the fact that we are a premium product. And also, we have a very unique angle of technology. I mentioned our probiotics eat away at the odor. We have another product line called Glow that actually has these UV sparkles. Like if you shine a black light on it, you'll see it lights up with purple sparkles. And so that product was developed because of the insight that cats see in ultraviolet vision. So when they pee on something, you shine a black light, it fluoresces. And so the fluorescence of the UV sparkles actually cue them on this is my bathroom, this is where I need to go, this is where I feel comfortable going. So it's really an attractant. So we have a lot of unique technology backed innovation um, for our products. But I don't know if the consumers are ready for that right now. I think people are still in the mindset of, oh, cat litter, it's toilet paper for my cat. What is the cheapest I can buy? Because I'm going to need a lot of it, and I need new litter every month or every 2 months, and it's a commodity kind of product. And so I think my biggest barrier is really when people try to think about being price conscious, not understanding that there is value beyond the price.
Yeah, and how do you address that?
A lot of that is ensuring that you have a product that really actually works. So I think one of the things that when you think about retention, we have a really high retention rate with one of our retailers. More than like 73, 75% of our sales with that retailer come from recurring subscriptions. Like that's really big for us. And the key to that is that when people try your product, it has to work really well. You have to stand by it with quality, and be able to back it up with performance. And if you can't do that, you will lose the consumer. So I think the number one thing that we do is combating with product quality. I think the second piece is from a shopper marketing perspective. I found that sometimes helping people do the math of one bag of Boxy will last you 40 days versus 4 bags of the competitive litters where they say odor control only 10 days, price A, price B, and how much you save in that 1 month, and then how much you're saving over the course of a year. I think it's helping people visualize the math has been something that we're dabbling with. And even with our creatives, being able to communicate that clearly to people and helping them. It's like, it's not like a very like obvious kind of thing. It's, well, you cost this and that cost that. I don't understand why, I should trade up, but helping them kind of like make that mind switch, I think is important. And we're still looking for creative ways to do it. It's not a very easy solve, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. And possibly helping to tell the story of the value of some of the innovation that you guys have come up with may also help too. Those are really smart ideas that you guys have innovated. And I had never even thought of the spectrum, and that's genius.
It's really thinking about litter from the perspective of a cat, right? And so when you think about for yourself, you would invest in a really nice bathroom, your decor, you're going to get a nice bidet. Everything has to be a comfortable space for you. Why wouldn't you do that for your cat, right? And if your cat has a very stressful environment to do their business in, that's one, they may not even want to do it. That's where a lot of people report litter box aversion and litter box issues because the cats just don't feel comfortable in it. And two, it could cause a lot of health issues like holding their pee can lead to UTI and a slew of other health issues. And I think that is something that our founder really thinks deeply about, like experiencing the world through the eyes of a cat, which I always find very fascinating. Even when you take like the science backed technology away, we really strive for ingredients that are the purest, most transparent, cleanest type of premium ingredients. We source our bentonite clay from only in the US. And so there are these bentonite clay mines in areas in the US, and they're the same clay that people use in makeup products or water filters. So I always say, if it's good enough for my skin, it's good enough for my cat's butt, right? And it's not toxic, it's safe for kids. And so even just that, I think there are consumers who are willing to trade up for better ingredients.
Yeah. So would you say it's one of the biggest roadblocks to hitting your customer acquisition targets?
Yeah, I would say honestly, pricing is one of our roadblocks. I think distribution. So the big players in cat litter, they're kind of your big three. They have a lot of distribution in the traditional grocery stores and areas where people traditionally pick up their litter. And not having the placement there, I think it's a mind space kind of thing for people. It's just, I've seen these brands and I haven't heard of Boxy yet. We're a little bit more of like, if you know, you know, kind of like a well kept secret. And for those who go deep into the Reddit threads, or maybe they hear from word of mouth from their friends who are like, oh my gosh, you have to try this. This litter finally worked for my cat. Those people are kind of like in the club, right? And right now, our biggest hurdle is really expanding outside of that club, but also being smart with my resources and my investments. And just knowing that a lot of these companies, they've had decades to build their business, but not a ton of new innovation, and very kind of table stakes products, right? We're really looking to deliver a better experience for the cat parent, and we want to make sure that people know. But you got to spend a lot of money for people to know this.
So finding ways to increase awareness where you don't have to break the bank, so to speak. Yeah. So what are your main growth targets for this year?
We continue to see really amazing trajectory and growth with all our existing partners. I think our goal this year is to expand into new retail partner with new partnerships. We have some in the works right now, still confidential, but we have some partners that we've been discussing partnerships with that we're extremely excited about, and we think it would be a really great fit for the Boxy target. So I think that's one of our main strategies in terms of growth and expansion into new retailers. From a D2C standpoint, quite honestly, um, litter is an item that is very heavy to ship. And so shipping is a very challenging issue that I think a lot of pet companies encounter, whether you're selling dog food or you're selling cat litter or I'm sure other heavy items like furniture companies. Like it's a puzzle that you have to solve. But we do see that there are D2C is a really great channel for us to be building a very loyal base of consumers that have a great relationship with us. We are able to have dialogue. We're able to leverage that audience for data points to better understand what people care about, what people are gravitating towards, and, like get insights on sizing, frequency. And we even talk to them. We do a lot of like consumer insights work with our D2C customers and try to understand like what appeals to you and, help this inform our next innovation roadmap.
Yeah, definitely. What marketing channels are you most focused on scaling?
In the near term, probably TikTok and TikTok Shop. I think that's one area that I'm looking into scaling. I think there's a lot of potential for kind of like the social commerce space. And I know a lot of brands have found success in that space as well. I spoke with a category manager at TikTok Shop during our last trade show, and he's also a cat owner. And so he was very bullish. He was like, Boxy, you gotta get on this platform with us. So that's one of our plans and thinking about the next area. I think from an awareness standpoint, like TikTok is a channel that we are organically in, but we haven't invested a lot of paid into at the moment. And from a TikTok shop standpoint, that's also I see it as a really good combination of both driving new conversions and purchases and creating new awareness amongst that audience or even just an additional touch point amongst an existing audience.
How are you thinking about expanding your product line?
I do think innovation and technology will always continue to be at the heart and core of Boxy. Right now, their founder has, a million ideas in his head. Some of them have been in the works for many years, some of them just a few months. I think we are excited to be able to roll out some new innovation in, like the latter half of 2025, maybe next year, 2026 as well. There's a lot of stuff brewing in the pipeline. And I'm very excited because a lot of these innovations, it's not just innovation for innovation's sake. I think, when you think about like innovations, like, oh, it's a new flavor, it's a new color. I think most of these innovations, it's really based on a pain point that we're trying to solve in the litter category or really based on an insight about how the cat sees the world or how the cat experiences the world. So obviously all are confidential, so I can't say anything. But I don't think anyone's really like solved litter as as a brand or as a company. It continues to be a really big pain point. And I've even spoken with my local community. A lot of moms will tell me that litter is literally the thing they argue with their husbands about the most. I think that's the most hilarious thing, but also when you think about it, believable. It creates that conflict. And so even though it's oftentimes people will think like, oh, it's just litter or it's just cat litter, there is potential to make such a big impact in the world. We can save marriages.
So, what trends are you seeing in DTC Pet Care that excite you?
I am seeing a lot of B2C brands embrace a hybrid D2C and e-tailer kind of presence. You think I come from the D2C world and I spent many years working on D2C only businesses. The biggest shift I've seen is that a lot of D2C brands, in order to expand your footprint, have shifted to be both D2C, but also e-retailer. So the Walmart Connects, the Targets of the world, the Amazons, the Chewies, etc. I think, especially from a pet perspective, there are many different ways for people to buy. There are always going to be your loyal customers who want to have that direct relationship with your brand. But many people like to actually consolidate their purchases. So it's really from a habit standpoint. You want to get everything all at once from the same place. And so I'm seeing more of a shift move towards this convenience factor. I think the fast, free shipping, I want it now, that desire is also very real. And being able to almost like automate my life and automate my purchases, it just comes without me thinking about it. That is something we offer, but I think people more and more so are looking for hubs to be able to consolidate all of that. So many of my friends who work on D2C businesses, the challenge for all of us right now is thinking about how to combine that omni-channel strategy in a way that works and is sustainable for all of us. And so now you've got multiple P&Ls to look at, and you have a lot of decision trees when you think about running campaigns and thinking about where to redirect people. I think like the multi-channel strategy is really a shift I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's a good answer. What changes do you think will impact the subscription businesses most in the next 12 to 18 months?
I think consumers are always going to be looking for value. And so, in terms of how brands can continue to evolve to ensure that from a subscription standpoint, you retain your customers, it really has to be a multi pronged approach. You can't just think about acquisition strategies with promotion. I think it's thinking about your product offering. It's thinking about your customer experience. It's delighting them at different stages of the life cycle. It's using data to understand at what point they might almost churn, and then what you do to win them back or actually prevent them from the churn. And then when they do churn, what strategies you win them back with. And I think it's probably going to evolve from a dollar or percentage off kind of like offer. Like, okay, if I test 20% versus 40%, what does that do? Into something deeper, and maybe that's something a little bit harder to quantify. And I'm actually working with my team to try to build a model on what aspects of brand and awareness and consideration and education, what that plays, how that plays into organic searches for your brand, and how then that translates into longer term value that you're seeing from a dollar sign perspective. It's very hard. It's like very hard mathematical equation, I think, to try to figure out.
Yeah, definitely. How are you trying to tackle that?
Looking at all the pieces of data that we have on hand and making sense of every single touch point and trying to find correlation in cause and effect and looking for patterns.
Cool. So, if we had this conversation in 12 months, which I hope we do, what would make you feel it's been a successful year?
I would hope to be able to have this conversation again and to be able to talk about the new innovations we've launched, the new partners that we've launched at. I think like those two are, like channel expansion and new product innovation are probably going to be two areas that, I think if we, in 12 months, we can sit here again and talk about, I'd be really proud of.
Well, I'm very excited to hear about those things over the next 12 months and looking forward to them.
Great.
So that's it for today's episode of Healthier, Happier You, the people working to make it happen. Huge thank you to Shelly Huang for sharing her insights and the amazing work BOXIECAT is doing to help pets and people live healthier, happier lives. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit. If your brand or business is making an impact in health, wellness, or personal care, we'd love to help you grow. Connect with me at luxhammer.com. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep making a difference.